way of mastery. Welcome to the 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 way of mastery. Here on Facebook Live. I am Earl Purd.y, and I want to welcome you to the way of mastery. Here on Facebook Live. Welcome to the way of mastery. A very, very deep metaphysical, spiritual teaching that is some channeled material to take us really, 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 really deep. Really, really, really deep. We are going to be on Where Have You Placed Your Loyalty? On page 355 in the Way of Mastery. Hello, mighty companions. We're going to be on page 355 in the Way of Knowing, lesson 31. Where have you placed your loyalty? Page 355. 355. Where have you placed your loyalty? Remember, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept this. You don't have to welcome this. Some of it's going to be hard to believe, and some of it may be quite startling. But remember, you are not asked to judge the ideas at all. Even though you may find some of it hard to believe, you are not asked to analyze these ideas at all. You are not being asked to analyze the ideas at all. Okay? So I'm glad to be here with you, mighty companions. I love the way of mastery. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad we're here, and we're going to dive right into it. And our goal is to hear it. Our goal is to clearly hear what it's saying. It isn't going to be always, the goal is not going to be always to understand all of it, but we want to hear all of it. Where have you placed your loyalty? Where have you placed your loyalty? Where have you placed your loyalty? I want you to stop a minute and take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I know we all coming online, and I'm glad to see my mighty companions, but those of you who are already here, take a deep breath. And I want you to ask yourself, where have you placed your loyalty? What are you loyal to? What are you loyal to? Where? Don't forget that I'm Earl Purd.y here on Facebook Live. Earl Purd.y, DRT, the Divine Repetition Teacher. My goal is to help you remember and help me remember. I want you to really take a deep look, and I want you to see what you have chosen to be loyal to. What are you being loyal to? And if, I don't know if you know it or not, but if you've chosen to be loyal to something of the world, if you're being loyal to something of the world, then do you know that what you are doing is actually, you've been using loyalty as a way to overcome fear. If you're loyal to something in the world, then you're just using loyalty according to the way of mastery. You're just using loyalty to overcome fear. It's great to see all of you online, all my mighty companions. Don't forget to share the video. But I want you to think about it. The Way of Mastery says, I've often said that what is not love is only fear. If it's not love, what is it? If it's not love, it is only fear. If it's not love, it's only fear. If it's not love, it's only fear. If you're not feeling love, you're feeling fear. If you're not feeling love, you're feeling fear. If it's not love, it is only fear. So in a state of love, how can you tell when you're in a state of love? When you're in a state of love, there is no clinging. When you're in a state of love, there is no denial. So there's no clinging. When you're in a state of love, you don't feel clingy. When you're in a state of love, you don't feel clingy. When you're in a state of love, you're not in a state of denial. There is nothing obstructed in the nature of the body's experience. So there's no obstruction in your experience of your body. There is no block in the bodily experiences that you have. In other words, you render unto Caesar's that which is Caesar's. You sweat in the hot sun. One simply is where one is. So when you're in a state of love, you are just where you are. But the mind, see, the mind, which is the essence of your identity. The mind is the essence of your identity. It is as love. All the rest is superfluous. There is nothing is important but love. Nothing is important but love. The only thing that's important is 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 love. Do you know that the only thing that is important is love? The only thing that is important is love. In the state of love, there is no clinging. In the state of love, do you know, in the state of love, there is no denial. What is not love is only fear. What is not love is only fear. In the state of love, that's the only thing that's important. Love is the most important thing, period. That's right, Kathy. Love is the most important thing. Don't forget, I'm a divine repetition teacher. So you're going to hear me say things over and over again, because in my 40 years of teaching and studying, the one thing that I've seen proven over and over and over again is that the people think that it's important to understand this and to analyze this. But the truth is, it's just important to remember it. What's most important is to remember it. And so you find yourself in a maze of events. And what is the maze of events that you find yourself in? You're in a maze of events that's called two things. You're in a maze of events that's called space and time. You are in a maze of events, and you call that maze space and time. So the Way of Mastery says that space and time is like a maze. By this I mean you find yourself going to a job. You find yourself in a certain three-dimensional relationship. But you are not hoodwinked into thinking that this place, this context is the all. Even though you might find yourself in a maze that's called space and time, even though you may find yourself going to a job, even though you may find yourself in a certain relationship, you don't think that this is all, though. You don't think that this is everything. Listen to me. It is only an opportunity. What is this? This is an opportunity. What is this? This is an opportunity. This, when I said this, I mean this. This is an opportunity to be the one who loves. In the midst of that context, simply for the sake of knowing love, you're going to love. only for the sake of knowing love. Love. Love only for the sake of knowing love. The career or the mate or the car or the garden or the boat can come and go. Do you know why that can come and go? Because whatever is begun in time ends in time. Hear what I just said. What begins in time heals in time. What begins in time ends in time. What begins in time ends in time. If it begins in time, it ends in time. Whatever begins in time ends in time. Whatever begins in time ends in time. Whatever has a beginning in time, it also will end in time. Anything born in time ends in time. Anything born in time ends in time. So your delight is in loving and embracing and being in the field in which these events rise and fall. So what is going to be our delight, since we are in a maze called space and time, where your career, your mate, your car, your garden, anything in the physical world can appear to come and go, right? Anything in the physical world can appear to come and go. So what do we take delight in? What is it that we embrace? Well, the Way of Mastery says you embrace all of these events that come and go. You love and enjoy all these events that come and go. I like to use the analogy of eating your favorite ice cream cone. You don't expect that ice cream cone to last for a week when you're licking that ice cream cone. You enjoy the ice cream cone, but you know that the ice cream cone is going to what? It's going to fade away. And that's what the Way of Mastery is saying to us. You're in a maze. That maze is called space and time. Anything that begins in time ends in time. That can be your mate, that can be your career, your car, anything that's physical, material, in time. So what do? You love it and you embrace it. You love it and you embrace it as it comes and goes, as it rises and as it falls, and as it begins and as it ends. You just embrace it. You embrace it and you love it. If you are loyal to a person, if you are loyal to a place, if you are loyal to a thing, look well to see, is there underneath fear that you have not yet been honest about? If you are being loyal to a person, place, or thing right now, do you have a fear that there's something that you're not being honest about? Are you being loyal in order to have this person? Are you being loyal in order to have this place or thing approve of you? Are you being loyal so that this person, place, or thing can stay with you so that you can get something that you want? Are you being loyal to a person, place, and thing so that you can get something that you want? Are you being loyal? Are you sticking it out? Are you staying with a person, place, or thing because you want some form of approval? Are you staying with some person, place, or thing so that you can make sure they stay with you, so that you can get something that you want? Are you loyal to some person, place, thing, or relationship because there's something you want to get out of it? Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it if you've been staying with a person, place, or thing because there's something that you want to get out of it, or that you want them to stay with you. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. Do not think that because you look and see, don't think that because you look and see. You know, the bottom line is I really like this job and the $120,000 a year that this job pays me. I really like the sense of security that this job gives me. that there is anything wrong, it doesn't mean that you have to give it up and go live penniless on the street. So what did that paragraph tell us? It's nothing wrong with wanting to stay with a person, place, or thing because there's something that you want, or you want them to stay with you, or you want it for some kind of approval. So you're not being asked to give up something that you want. What matters is that you become perfectly honest. So I want to ask you to become perfectly honest. What is it that I'm asking you to do? I want you to be perfectly honest. I want you to be perfectly honest with what you are doing. I want you to be perfectly honest with what you are doing, and withdraw the tendency of the mind to say, be honest with yourself. And I want you to withdraw the tendency of your mind to say, well, I'm really doing this career because I believe that the product that we create is making a huge impact on the planet. I really believe we can really make things different. And besides, we give jobs and we give money to charities. That's why I'm here. The way a master said, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. In the world, you will do what you do because of where you place your value. In the world, you do what you do because of where you place your value. In the world, you will do what you do because of where you place your value. You're doing what you're doing because of where you place your value. You're always doing what you value. You're always doing what you really value. You're always doing what you value. Be honest with yourself. In this world, you will do what you do because of where you place your value. You're doing what you're doing because that's what you value. Everyone invests their time and energy and effort in the things that they value. If you want to know what you really value, not what you say you value, but if you want to know what you really value, it's what you do. Whatever you do is what you really value. Whatever you do is what you do value. You value what you do. Whatever you do, however you spend your time, whatever you focus on, that is what you value. You will do what you do because of where you place your value, where you place your value. You will do what you do because of where you place your value. This is why I, Yeshua, have often said, if you want to know truly what you idolize, if you want to truly know what you idolize, if you want to truly know what you are committed to, if you want to know what you most deeply believe, if you want to know what you truly idolize, if you want to know what you are really committed to, if you want to know what you most deeply believe, merely do this. Look at where you are. Look at who you're with. Look at what you're doing with your time and how you feel about it. I'll say it again. If you want to know what you most truly believe, if you want to know what you most truly value, if you want to know what you most truly idolize, merely look at where you are, because where you are is what you are committed to. Look at who you are with, because who you are with is who you idolize, what you are committed to, and what you most deeply believe. And also, if you want to know what you truly believe, what you're truly committed to, look at what you're doing with your time. So just being here with me on Facebook Live, doing the Way of Mastery, that means that you are committed to it. It means at some level this is something you deeply believe. And if you want to know what you really value, what are you doing with your time? And how do you feel about how do you feel about how you're using your time? So don't claim you don't know what you believe. Don't claim you don't know what you're committed to. Don't claim that you don't know what you idolize. Just look at where you are. Look at who you're with. Look at what you're doing with your time. Look at how you feel about it, truthfully, and you will know what you value. Look around you, and you will know what you value. those that insist on saving up money. So what is the way of mastery about to talk about now? It says, those that insist on saving up money for a rainy day. If you are a person that insists on saving up money for a rainy day, you are saying, I believe there can be a rainy day unless I do something to prevent it. If you're always saving out of a sense of fear, then what you're saying is, I believe there can be a rainy day unless I do something to prevent it. That means your trust is really placed in your power to manipulate and create what you see you think you must have. So let me say it again. If you are a person, according to the way of mastery, if you're a person that's insistent on saving up money for a rainy day, you're saying, I believe there can be a rainy day unless I do something about it. So that means that your trust is really placed in your power to manipulate and use the world to create what you perceive you must have. So anybody that's saving up for a rainy day is somebody that's placing their power and an ability into the use of trying to manipulate everything to use the world to create what they perceive they must have. Anybody that's trying to save up something for a rainy day, the way of mastery says that your trust has been placed in your power to manipulate and use the world to create what you see you must have. So when you have a trust in the world instead of a trust in God, the way of mastery says it's very, 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 by the way, I'm asking for another perception of this sweater. I can't get it just right. You know, that's the most important thing about this entire thing is how my sweater looks. You know, my happiness depends on how my sweater looks. So it's a distraction. Which just goes to show me, you know, that this is what I'm placing my value in, because it's bugging the heck out of me. So I'm using it to bug myself. So I just saw one of the things that I place my value in, right? So I know something that I place my value, even though I know that none of you ever are concerned about the way your clothes look on you or anything like this. I know that's just a ridiculous thing for me to think about because that never crosses any of your minds. I understand that. So the way of mastery is said, it's very, very different than the trust of one awakened in God. So how does a person that has trust coming from the perspective of God? Well, the Course says, and I'm going to read through it and we're going to go through it. It says, very, very different than the trust of the one awakened in God. The one awakened in God, who knows that whatever arises and passes away in the field of space and time is inconsequential. Somebody that's trusted in God knows that anything that comes and goes in the field of space and time is inconsequential. Because that mind, the mind that trusts in God, the mind that is awakened, is so identified with being the presence of love that the body mind could contract cancer tomorrow and say, who cares? So what did this just tell us? It just said, which is way out, it says that the once you really wake up and you really wake up in God, then you think that no matter what happens in the physical material world is inconsequential. And it says, you are just identified with being the presence of love, and you really don't care about anything other than being the presence of love. So if you were really trusted in God, someone could tell you that you had cancer, and you would say, who cares? Somebody could tell you that you had some type of disease or something could be going on in your physical life, but if you really trusted in God and you really were the presence of love and you really knew who you were, then the way of mastery says you would just go, I got cancer, who cares? Wow. See, when I hear something like that, that's a reality check for me. It lets me know that I still have to do some stuff to let go of some of my old beliefs. Because be honest with yourself. If you were told that you had, leukemia, could you really just go, I don't care, I'm just here to be the presence of love? That's totally inconsequential to me. I'm here to be the presence of love. I trust God. I mean, come on, get real. Would you really say that? and really mean that. But that's the way someone who has awakened in love, someone has awakened in God, that is what they would say. They would say, you know what? I don't care. Nothing in this world is more important than being in the presence of love. Everything else in this world is going to come and go. That which is eternal and real, it will last forever. I am just here to be the presence of love. Then what else did the way of master tell us? It says, the mind that rests in freedom has learned to transfer trust and loyalty to love. So what is the characteristic of a free mind? A free mind is a mind that, instead of trusting in things of the world, instead of trusting in things on the outer, a mind that is resting in freedom has learned how to transfer trust and loyalty to love. Transfer your trust and loyalty to love. Transfer your trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. Say it with me. I transfer my trust and I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. 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 I transfer my trust and say it with me. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. 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 We transfer our 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 trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. You transfer your trust and loyalty to love. You transfer your trust and loyalty to love. You transfer your trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. We transfer our 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 trust and loyalty to love. Don't forget, I'm the divine repetition teacher. Yeshua says it's about remembering, and repetition allows us to remember, especially if you were to join with me and also be active in doing this. So the mind that rests in freedom has learned to transfer trust and loyalty to love. That mind has come to enjoy the peace that comes from only loving. So a mind that's free is a mind that is enjoying the peace of only being a loving mind. For what harm can come to the mind that simply loves? What harm can come to the mind that simply loves? What harm can come to the mind who looks upon all things and sees its perfect innocence and plays in the kingdom provided by that one's Father, the kingdom of the body mind, the kingdom of space and time, the kingdom of the power to choose love over fear. So, you cannot be harmed if you simply love. You cannot be harmed if you truly look on all things and see its perfect innocence. You could not be harmed if you truly, simply loved and looked upon all things and see its perfect innocence. If you want to be safe, if you want to be beyond harm, what do you do? If you want to be safe, if you want to be beyond harm, what do? You simply love and look upon all things and see all things perfect innocence. You look upon everything and you see its perfect innocence if you want to be beyond harm. Bree says, I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. Kathy says, we transfer our trust and loyalty to love. Kim says, I transfer my trust and loyalty to love. Renew says, we transfer our trust and loyalty to love. And no harm can come to an innocent mind that just flows in the space and time. Demola says, I can't be harmed when I look upon only with love and innocence on all that I perceive. Jax says, I transfer my loyalty to love. I transfer trust and loyalty to love. Whew. And Bree says, love and look upon all things and see its perfect innocence. And King Lexi says, we transfer our trust and loyalty to love. See, that's how we get it. We get it by repetition, by allowing ourselves to remember and hear. And this is why I suggest this simple thought. That's right, Macy, but it's a beautiful challenge. The challenge to simply love, the challenge to see everyone and everything in the beauty and innocence that they are. That's the kind of challenge I like. This is why I suggest this simple thought. Where does suffering come from? Where does suffering come from? If it pauses, if the recording or the live broadcast pauses, just hang in there and it'll be back. Okay, so where does suffering come from? Suffering comes from being identified with form. Suffering comes from being identified with form, whether it be identified with the body. Suffering comes from being identified, it could be a belief. Your suffering can come from being identified with the career. Your suffering can come from a context of experience of any kind. I say it again. Suffering comes from being identified with a form. Do you know that suffering comes from being identified with the body? Something that is temporary, something that comes and goes. It could be a belief, it could be your career, it could be any experience of any kind in the physical world that you identify with. That's right, Tricia. It is attachment. So suffering comes from attachment. Suffering comes from attachment. Suffering comes from being identified with form. All experience comes and goes, for all experience comes and goes. Every experience comes and every experience goes. That's just the way it is. So if you want liberation, then what do? If you want deep peace, what do? Well, it comes from being identified with content as opposed to physical form. By content, what do I mean when I say liberation and peace comes from being identified with content? By content, we simply mean the matrix. We mean the source out of which all possibilities are possible. So become identified with God, source, love, creation, rather than being attached to form, body, belief, career, any kind of physical experience. Instead of being identified with some type of a physical experience, become identified with content. Become identified with the source. It's like a musician who comes to appreciate the field of silence out of which notes can arise in a certain sequential order in order to create a beautiful melody. If it weren't for the silence between the notes, if it wasn't for the silence between the notes, no song could ever have touched your heart. The matrix of love. It's time for you to tune into what? The matrix of love. It's time for you to tune into the matrix of love, which is the presence of the Father. The matrix of love is the pure intelligence, the field in which all things arise and pass away and never change. The matrix of love is that field is like a canvas upon which the grand artist paints. But the master artist knows that without the canvas, there is nothing. And therefore, the master artist honors the blank canvas first. You'll see your life as a blank canvas that the master artist, the divine within you, the love within you, the creator within you, is going to paint on this blank, new blank canvas that you are calling your personal life. Do you know the next section goes, limiting beliefs naturally crumble as the soul awakens. So what does that mean? That means that as your soul awakens, as you wake up to who you truly spiritually are, your natural tendency to have limited thoughts and limited beliefs will naturally crumble. As you focus on your own awakening, when you focus on being the presence of truth, when you focus on being the presence of love, your limiting beliefs will naturally crumble. So I want you to ponder loyalty. I want you to ponder trust, because loyalty and trust are significant things to ponder. There is a process of growth, of course, for each time you begin to see that what you have placed your trust in cannot really truly fulfill the soul. It is as though a structure crumbles. So how do you know when your old beliefs have crumbled? Because when you begin to see that you place your trust in things that can't really fulfill you, you feel like some structure is crumbling. So some of you may have the feeling right now that everything in your life, the structures in your life, the relationships in your life, that there are things in your life that are crumbling right now. But that's a process of growth. The process of growth means you are finally beginning to recognize what's truly valuable and what's truly valueless. You're beginning to recognize that what is eternal, what is love, what is permanent, the content is what's valuable. And you've begun to see that the material outer things that come and go, that begin and end, that are temporary, that's not what's truly valuable. So you're beginning to place your love and you're beginning to place your trust in love. And the way of mastery says, when that starts to happen and you realize that things outside of yourself cannot ultimately bring you the kind of permanent happiness you want, that you will feel like some type of structure is crumbling in your life. So what's actually occurring? What's actually happening? What I'm going to tell you, what you'd like to know, when those structures appear to crumble, what's actually happening? You, as an infinite being, have merely realized that you have been hoodwinked. That means you are withdrawing the value from what you have placed your trust in. And when you start to withdraw your valuing fear and anger and guilt and things that are temporary, this will feel like something's crumbling. How many of you are feeling like there are areas of your experience right now that are crumbling? That's a good sign. That's a real good sign. It means you're beginning to realize that you have deceived yourself and you're beginning to wake up to who and what you really are. It means you are withdrawing value from what you used to place your trust in that didn't really fulfill you anyway. And it feels like a crumbling. And it literally is a crumbling. But you're experiencing a crumbling at a very subtle level of energy. And that subtle level of energy is the energy that constructs a perceptual belief system about the nature of experience. Your old beliefs are crumbling. Your old beliefs are crumbling. That's what's happening. Right now, some of you feel like everything around you is crumbling. It means that your old beliefs are crumbling and you're beginning to wake up and you're beginning to recognize the truth. It means you're beginning to let go of some of your old beliefs. For instance, to give you a simple example, if one believes that they must have coffee every morning in order to get going, and then later in life, for whatever reason, they come to see that they never needed coffee at all, they may go ahead and enjoy their coffee, but it will never be for the same reason. That structure of belief will crumble, and they will literally see life differently. Each and every one of you, 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 each and every one of you can pause in this lesson right now and ponder what structures of belief have crumbled in your life. Think about it. What are some beliefs that have crumbled in your life? What are some of the beliefs that you no longer have anymore that you used to have? The belief that's crumbling most of all in my life is the belief that I'm guilty or sinful in some way. The belief that I am lacking in some way, separate from God, separate from love. The belief that I am a body. Those are the beliefs that are beginning to crumble in my life. What are the beliefs that are crumbling in your life? And when you do have an old belief crumble that's not really serving you anyway, hasn't it always led to you having a sense of greater expansion? Are you feeling a sense of deeper wisdom? Are you feeling a sense of a more certain knowing? Is that what you are feeling right now? In other words, life proceeds from illusion to reality. Life proceeds from what? From illusion to reality. So you're moving from false beliefs to true beliefs. You're moving from what is not real and what is not true to what is real and what is true. Carolyn says, thank goodness, amen. Bridget says, my life is crumbling. Bree says, yeah, I'm awakening. Woo, woo. Kim says, my old beliefs are crumbling. Bridget says, correction, my old beliefs are crumbling. Macy says, the belief that others can make me happy. That's a belief in her life that's crumbling. A sense of peace and serenity. We are making progress. John says, the belief that he is a body is crumbling. What is reality? Reality is love. Reality is life. Reality is you. You are reality. So let the old beliefs crumble. Let the old beliefs crumble. And a way to answer the question, what is reality, would be better to say, what is not reality? Anything that is temporary, anything that is impermanent, anything that comes and goes, that is what is not reality. Reality is permanent. Reality it never changes. It expands, but it never changes. It never leaves. It's always there. It is pure love. The opposite of fear, the opposite of anger, the opposite of guilt, the opposite of thinking that you are a body. That is reality. That is not reality. Anything outside of yourself, anything that is temporary, anything that does not last, that, according to the Way of Mastery and the Course in Miracles, that is what is not reality. I almost don't like to even use the term illusion. I rather use the term, we are learning what is true and what is not true. We're learning what is love and what is not love. And anything that's temporary is not reality, even though you may be experiencing it as such. But as a soul awakens, it feels a sense of expansion. When the soul awakens, you feel a sense of growth. but the growth doesn't have anything to do with the body getting bigger. The growth doesn't have anything to do with the bank account growing. The growth has nothing to do with having more children, for example. You all know that as wisdom is reawakened in the mind, there is a sense of growth as wisdom is reawakened in the mind. And that kind of growth becomes completely all attractive to you. So what kind of growth is truly attractive? The kind of growth that is the result of wisdom being awakened, when you become more aware of what's true. So as your soul awakens, what do you feel like when your soul awakens? When your soul awakens, you feel a sense of expansion and growth. When your soul awakens, you feel a sense of expansion and growth. When your soul awakens, and you know it doesn't have anything to do with the body getting bigger. You know it has nothing to do with your bank account getting bigger. You know it has nothing to do with having more children or anything in the material physical world. You know that it comes from you having wisdom reawakened in your mind, and then you feel a sense of growth. And that kind of growth becomes so attractive to you. That sense of growth that comes from wisdom becomes so attractive to you. All right, so I'm going to give you some tips, and we're going to do a short review so that we can really understand what we were told in this section about loyalty and what are we going to put our trust in and our loyalty in. I want to thank you for tuning in to this presentation from the Way of Mastery. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher and I want to continue to do my teaching ministry, you can go to my website, www.earl.purd.y.com, earlpurdy.com. And I'm available for one-on-one personal sessions called Clarity Sessions. Go to my website and it will explain my Clarity Sessions, my one-on-one personal sessions in detail that can be life-changing for you. Absolutely. Thank you, Jax. You know, on Thursdays at 7 p.m. it's the Way of Master. It's Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It's Hardcore Course in Miracles on the Earl Purdy page, on Facebook. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I do a Course in Miracles on Facebook Live as well as in front of a live audience. And on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, right here, we do what? The Way of Mastery. So I thank you, and I really appreciate you sharing this class and sharing it with other people. Now, let's go back and do a quick review of the main points of this section. Wow, we covered quite a bit. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is see what you've chosen to be loyal to. And if you've chosen to be loyal to something in this world, then that's just a way to overcome fear. And the Way of Mastery says that what is not love is only fear. So remember, what is not love is only fear. So what happens when you're in the state of love? When you're in the state of love, there's no clinging, there is no denial, and you feel like the only thing that's important is for you to be the presence of love, and nothing else is important to you. So what is the maze that the Way of Mastery says that we placed ourselves in? It says we placed ourselves in a maze called space and time. Space and time. And that's called a maze. But what this maze of space and time really is only an opportunity for you to be the one who loves in the midst of this experience. Your true power is in your ability to delight in loving and embracing. if you're loyal to a person, a place, a thing, look well to see if you're really being honest with yourself. Are you being loyal to a person, place, or thing because you want them to approve of you, or that you want them to stay with you, or is it because they're going to give you something that you want? There's nothing wrong with that, but get honest with yourself about why you are being loyal to what you are being loyal to. Just be perfectly honest with yourself about what you're doing. In this world, don't forget that you're going to always do what you will do. You will do what you do because of where you place your value. So you do what you do because of where you place your value. What you do is what you truly value. What you do is what you truly value. So if you want to know what you idolize, if you want to know what you are truly committed to, if you want to know what you deeply believe, look at where you are, look at who you're with, and what you are doing with your time and how you feel about it. If you want to know what you're committed to, if you want to know what you most deeply believe, if you want to know what you're most committed to, if you want to know what you most deeply believe, where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your time? What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing? If you're trying to save up money for a rainy day, it just means you're trusting in your power to use the world to create what you think you must have. A person that really is awakened in God is a person that's not getting upset about anything that's coming and going in the world. It's a person that's identified with the presence of love. And if they were told they were going to have cancer tomorrow, they would go, who cares? That's the way an awakened being would look at things. A mind that is free. Do you know that it's a mind that's learned how to transfer trust and loyalty to love instead of putting trust and loyalty into people, places, things, and outside of themselves? Also, we were told that suffering comes from being identified with form. Suffering comes from being identified with the physical and with the body. But if you want to feel liberated, if you want to feel free, you have to become identified with content. Content is God. Content is love. Content is peace. Content is source. If you want to stop suffering, become identified with source. Become identified with God, love, truth, freedom, not people, places, and things outside yourself. What else? It's very important that you ponder loyalty and trust. There's a place in your growth process that you're going to recognize that you've been placing value in things that don't truly fulfill you and satisfy you. And so it's going to look like there are structures in your life that are crumbling. It's going to look like there are structures in your life that are crumbling when you really do this. But what's really happening is that you're finally waking up. You're finally waking up to beliefs that you have that are not true, that you know it's going to be time for you to let those beliefs go. And it's experienced as if there's a crumbling going on in your life. As your soul wakes up, as your soul really wakes up, you're going to feel a sense of expansion. You're going to experience a sense of growth as your soul wakes up. And it doesn't have anything to do with the body. It doesn't have anything to do with the bank account. It doesn't have anything to do with having more children, getting more things in the world. When you're beginning to wake up, you're going to find that there is a wisdom that's being reawakened in your mind. And when that wisdom is reawakened in your mind, you're going to feel a strong sense of growth. That kind of growth is going to become so important to you. It's going to be the only thing that matters. So listen to this again and again. And I will ask you one more time. I'm so glad that you are all on the line. I love you. I appreciate all of you. And ask yourself, what am I loyal to? What is it that I truly believe? And remember that it's going to be exactly what you are doing. Like I said, it's obvious I value sweater looking right. It's such a trip. I love it. Love it, mighty companions. I appreciate you. Listen to this over and over again. This is Earl Purd.y. Thank you for joining me live and interacting with all your mighty companions. And I want to say to you, I feel totally in a state of mind where I trust you and I'm willing to be loyal to the truth in you and the love in you and the God in you. May this course be with you. I love you all. You're blessings in my life. See you next time.